Welcome to Net Tuesday, the first Net Tuesday of 2012. We have something, we're using a format we've used before that's been a lot of fun, and obviously we have a good turnout, so it should be very lively. How many people are here for the first time? Okay, great. We're going to introduce ourselves in just a minute. We're going to give a little bit of background about Net Tuesday and what we are about. And then we're going to hand over we'll do introductions and hand over the presentation. There are a bunch of Net Tuesday chapters or affiliates around the world. They're all actually they're all independent and they have slightly different themes. What we tend to think of our purpose of is helping people use the social web for social change. And the main activity that we do is this Net Tuesday, which is the first Tuesday of every month. And we've been doing this since 2008. We also have a website and a Google group, which you're invited to participate in. This is the last year plus of Net Tuesdays we've had. I highlighted that we've been doing Crowdsourcing Change once every few months. You can see some of the prior participants of it, and it seems to be something worth repeating, which we will be continuing to repeat. Another format that we've done in the past that we're going to be repeating for next month in February is the Social Web Sampler. The last time we did this was in June, and these were the topics that we'll come up with. And the way the Social Web Sampler works is that's really up to you in the audience or anyone in the extended Philly Net Squared community who has some sort of topic related to the social web that they would like to talk about or lead a discussion on. And we'll have 15 20-minute discussions, 5 simultaneously in 3 different series. So this happens to be the topics that were used last June. We'll come up with new ones for next month, and you'll get more information about that. But you can think about if there's a topic that you either have some expertise in, relating to the social web that you, or social networking, social media, that you think that you'd like to present on for 20 minutes, or just a discussion you'd like to lead because you're interested in it. You don't have to be an expert. In addition to the folks sitting in this room, we're also streaming this presentation out over the internet through a camera there and a camera there. Hello, everyone. And folks who are out there, if they choose, as well as people who are in here, can participate in a Twitter back channel by using the hashtag PHLNET2. Ivan back there is monitoring the Twitter back channel, and he will bring forth into the room any questions or comments that are coming out there from cyberspace that might bear upon our discussion tonight. So we can draw upon some expertise outside of these walls as well. In addition to these events, we're about networking, so please sign in the sign-in sheet. Try and do it as legibly as necessary so I can read your name. We'll send out, just to the people within this room, the contact information that's left there. We'll also send out a scanned image of the business cards that people leave. So leave a business card there. There are also some blank cards, if you like, and you can fill in a blank card either because you forgot your business card or you're trying out a new identity tonight. It is 2012. We have a no questions too stupid policy, and we encourage people to take advantage of that. There's food over there. We want to make sure we don't have any food left over if we can, so please eat. This is a Platinum LEED certified building that we're in right now, so please compost and recycle. The food is all compostable, even the meats and cheeses. We have Wi-Fi access. It's open Wi-Fi. If you're using a computer or want to access Wi-Fi access to the AFSC network, there's no password. And if you park in the lot across 15th Street, you can get a discount by taking your ticket to the front desk there, and they'll validate your ticket. The sponsor for tonight is the American Friends Service Committee, which is one of the tenants of this building, and so we thank them for doing this. And that's really all I have is by means of introduction. So what I'd like to do is just have people briefly introduce themselves. And I'm asking people to use the microphone when they do that, not because people in the room can't hear, although that often it helps with that, but also because of the stream and the recording that we'll make of the internet stream. The audio comes out much better if you speak into the mic. And with this microphone, you need to try and speak directly into it. So I'm just going to pass this around, and people can introduce themselves. My name is Seth Horwitz, by the way. I'm a consultant under the name of CommuniShare Consulting. I consult in areas of knowledge management and online collaboration, and I work primarily here with the American Friends Service Committee.
Mitch Collier, mainly doing health, education, and communication projects for federal agencies.
Hello, I'm Lauren. I'm a computer science grad, so I decided to come and see if I could help out.
Hi, my name is Amanda Diesel, and I'm in education technology, and I learned about this on Twitter and decided to come and learn more.
Great.
Hi, Jared Brimfield. I've been in technology sales and consulting for the last almost 10 years, focusing mainly on network and infrastructure.
David Mosenkis. I do visual analytics, and I currently work for a company called Tibco Spotfire.
Nina Ravel with Transition Philadelphia.
Leroy Forney, a visual artist, currently completing a project to paint portraits of people in Occupy Philadelphia.
Great.
Hi, Sharon Torello from Local Arts Live. It's all about classical music in Philadelphia.
Hi, I'm Joan Lucas. I used to teach computer science, but a lot has changed since I retired. And I'm now a member of the Granny Peace Brigade of Philadelphia and researching the use of social networks for the Granny Peace Brigade.
Hi, good evening. I'm Chanda Blake. I'm self-employed as a contract fundraiser and grant writer.
Hi, I'm Alex Archalski. I do business consulting, write sales and marketing business plans for entrepreneurs and business owners. I'm here for my nonprofit, Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network. As a Navy vet, we educate vets that transition out on the job search process, and we educate local companies on how to hire and retain veterans. Thanks.
Meg Lewis, NAMI board member.
I just found out about this. I'm not sure what to say. My name is Mina, but I'm not completely illiterate computer-wise.
I'm Lamar Kendrick, and I'm just interested in creating community online and off.
I'm Andrew Sather. I work at a small membership law library on the other side of town, and this is one of my favorite topics. So I'm just here to see what I can learn.
I'm Ivan Booth. I'm one of the co-organizers of Philly Net Squared, and I do consulting for nonprofits under the name rootwork.org. I work here in Philadelphia with Casino Free Philly, and also with the Fellowship of Reconciliation in New York.
Hi, I'm Monica Manklang. I'm with generosity.org. We focus on creating a community for Philadelphia nonprofits, both in real life and online.
Hi, I'm Mike Kaiser. I'm community manager at generosity.org, and everything that Monica just said.
Hi, I'm Noah Furtman. I work for New York Life Insurance, do personal business and estate planning, and just here to kind of network with other people. So.
Hi, I'm Ivan Kucherzan. I work for Siemens as a software engineer, and I found out of this group on Google.
Hi, I'm Ryan Draving. I help mid-sized companies with Philly Marketing Labs with their online marketing efforts, and I'm writing a digital marketing book, and I thought this would be a great place to meet some cool people and see if I could chip in an idea or two.
My name is Paul Matheson. I run a professional services firm, PJ Matheson.
Hi, I'm Nathan Gosser with a company called Rock River Star. We do web development and Drupal consulting for nonprofits and higher ed, and always enjoy coming to Net Tuesday.
Hi, Dan Spicer. I'm a software developer, and I came here because I wanted to learn a bit more about using the social networking to organize further.
Hi, everyone. I'm Richard Johnson. I work for United Way of Southeastern Pennsylvania, focusing on youth education. And I'm here because I'm in the nonprofit world, and I'm also interested personally in sustainability issues.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Sanchez, co-founder of thejawn.com, JAWN. I'm here to learn more about crowdsourcing and meet some cool Philly people.
Hi, I'm Valerie Lagauskas with Event Navigators, and I'm a bit of a social media junkie.
Hi, I'm John James, retired, and I had a software development career that ended about 25 years ago, but I've just got back into the field and working on my own project for helping people get paid online for digitally delivered work. And its site is replicounts.com.
Hi, everyone. I'm Wendy Univer, and I work at the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College. We train rabbis who have a tendency to be interested in social activism and social justice organizing.
Hi, I'm Jacques Sapriel, and I'm with Philippe City.
I'm Jerry Silverman. I'm a curmudgeon. I'm not sure that social media does not inhibit human communication, but I'm interested in listening.
I'm Iris with Protecting Our Waters.
So I have the hard job of trying to get myself on camera while I'm talking. I'm Steve Lubetkin, Podcast Steve on Twitter. I run a firm called ProfessionalPodcasts.com. We produce audio and video content for the web, and we help out here with Tuesday with running the switching in the back. And this is my lovely wife, Jean, here. I just did. Okay.
We have some more.
I'm in trouble now.
We have some more folks over here.
Hi, I'm Diane Reed. I'm the Executive Director of CADE Kids, a social services organization, and I'm here to learn as usual.
Ted Reed with Friends Center City.
Okay.
We got some more here.
One quick announcement.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have two large photocopiers, scanners, network equipment that's free to any legitimate nonprofit. Please see it.
Does it take a...
original artwork?
See Mitch afterwards. We're about to hand over the program. One thing I did want to mention very quickly is I'm going to attempt to be taking some notes during the feedback portion of each of the presentations, and we'll show the notes on the screen so that you can see it as it's going up. And also, then you're obligated to collaborate with the notes and to help spelling or finding URLs or whatever else that would be useful to put in the notes. I can use that assistance as we move forward to do that. Folks,
This will stay so that we could later look at it.
Yeah, we'll send it out.
My name is Linda Huss, and I work at the Greater Philadelphia Tourism Marketing Corporation.
And I'm Caroline Bean. I also work at Greater Philadelphia Tourism Marketing Corporation.
Okay. Well, first of all, everybody, Happy New Year. Happy 2012. We're so glad to see a great turnout kicking off our new year here. And we have a really great program with the 3 interesting projects for our Crowdsourcing Change. So for those of you who haven't been here before, the way that it works is that each group comes up and they give a presentation. They explain what their organization does and the ways that they're using their marketing and social media, so you can kind of get a picture of so far what they're up to. And then we open up the floor to you, which is the crowd. That's how we're using the term crowdsourcing for feedback on how they can better use social media or other ways maybe they haven't thought of it, or how to just leverage social media better to achieve their goals and objectives. So, and each group gets approximately half an hour. They present for 10 to 15 minutes, and then you get the floor for the remainder of that. And then after we're all done that, we usually have another half an hour for just one-on-one or whatever, basic networking. And then comes my favorite part, which is we usually go out to a pub afterwards, and everyone here is invited to join us if you want to join us. And it's just very informal, and there's nothing other than we just go out and have a good time. So Just as an introduction, again, I'll just mention our hashtag, which is #PHLNet2 for people who want to communicate on Twitter. And otherwise, I'll just give the introductions for the group. So for this particular program, I'm going to say always do that. It's very broadly focused on sustaining our city in one way or another. So with Greater Philadelphia Tourism and Marketing Corporation, or GPTMC, which is a lot easier to say. They help sustain the city because they are a major engine to attract tourists to our city, which of course is economic and brings in dollars to our city. They're a very big economic driver. GPTMC publishes the visitphilly.com website, and you'll be seeing these, and you wish you knew .com website, which actually I write for. I don't know if you know that. And they've launched many, many successful campaigns that are on billboards and are the banners. If you drive downtown and you see those with Love Philly XOXO, that's GPTMC. They have one called Philly's More Fun When You Sleep Over. You may have seen those ads. They were really fun commercials that were on, as well as Get Your History Straight and Your Nightlife Gay, which is an LGBT-focused campaign. They have at least a dozen social media sites, so which should be very interesting to see what you're doing, and we're looking forward to a lot of good feedback from the crowd because there's a lot to go from there. And then we've got Philly Echo City, which was founded by Jacques, who's been to a number of our meetings before. And Philly Echo City is a virtual meeting place for people across the Philadelphia region who are interested in environmental and sustainability issues to find information, collaborate, and inspire one another. And some of the objectives of Philly Echo City are to report on sustainability initiatives emerging all around the region, to inspire and motivate us to make our city sort of a model eco city for the rest of the country and perhaps the world, to create forums for debates and just conversation about sustainability, and just basically to kind of become a meeting place to organize conversations and activity and mobilize people to be thinking about sustainability. And then Protecting Our Waters, which was founded by Iris Bloom. And Protecting Our Waters focuses on the issue of fracking, which I'm going to let Iris explain specifically what it is. But it has to do with gas drilling. I would imagine that a lot of people have heard about it because it's a pretty big issue that makes the news a lot. And basically, Protecting Our Waters is dedicated to, just as the name says, protecting the waters here in the Delaware River Basin in the state of Pennsylvania from this fracking and other types of unconventional gas drilling that could be harmful or hazardous to our health. So they're working, some of the things that they're working on is to try and at least get a moratorium within the state. And again, Iris will give you more information on that. But, so that we can have environmental studies and try and get some regulations about it. And again, if people are reading the papers, you know that at least in our state and many other states, a lot of the politicians are just trying to push it through without too much of the protecting our waters. So, all right, so that's all I'm going to say for now. I'm going to hand it over to Caroline for GPTMC, and I'm just going to mention just off the top, so as we had asked them to put each group to give us a couple questions in advance to get people to think about, and then, of course, as the presentation goes on, you can bring up other things. But GPTMC's 2 questions were, what are the best new tools for us to use to engage with our potential traveler? I abbreviated it a little bit. Google, Pinterest, which I have to say I had to look up. I didn't know what that was. Tumblr or something else. And our social media efforts pay off when we partner. Are you going to put it up there? Okay. When we partner with other organizations and brands, who do you think could work as potential partners in social media promotions to raise Philadelphia's image as a destination? So those are and then again, they're just to kind of get wheels turning, but of course we would expect a lot more feedback and a lot of different things to come out once the presentation goes. So, all right, Caroline?
Okay. And then can I get this one up on? Yeah. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, so bear with me because I have a little bit of a cold, so if I get a little raspy, you'll know why. How's that? Is that better? Okay, so hi everybody, Happy New Year. We have been in planning mode for 2012 for a while at the tourism office, so hopefully you'll start to see things that we've been planning. And I'm just going to walk you through some of the social media that we've been doing and that will hopefully evolve and change as we, as travel and tech evolves and changes over 2012. My colleague Linda Huss here is the editor of GPTMC, and she writes a lot of those with love lines that you might see, and she'll be helping me answer questions and ask some questions after. So, GPTMC's mission is to promote Philadelphia and the countryside. That's Bucks, Montgomery, Delaware, and Chester counties. We're a nonprofit organization. We're a non-membership organization, so we really are tasked with promoting what are the strongest stories for Philadelphia in the region. We were started in 1996 by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the Pew Charitable Trust, and the City of Philadelphia. And these are a few of the campaigns that we are running right now. The one in the top left, the With Love Philadelphia, is the one that you'll probably see the most often. So we're a full-service marketing organization. We have research department, advertising, web department, cultural tourism. But social media really is part of all of those different things. And we're fortunate enough to have a very integrated social media group. So I know, unlike a lot of places, we do have a few more, bodies on staff who are able to work on this. And as we have changed, it's really something that each staff member has really started to take on in addition to their other duties. But early on, we recognized that social media would be a major force in marketing. We were so fortunate in 2006 to get a grant from the city to start You Wish You Knew, which was a program for social media. And the most outward-facing part of that is a blog that still runs today, youwishyouKnew.com. But as technology has evolved and as we've evolved and as our traveler has evolved, we continue to add and change our different accounts, and you'll see them all here. And what we do with all of these social media accounts is really promote the city, invite the visitor in, give them visitor information that they need to navigate the city, and also just sort of building our image and being a civic booster. So we're talking to visitors as well as residents, because we know residents are the ones doing a lot of the work to invite their friends and family and college roommates and all that to come in. So we want to engage those people as well, because they really are our ambassadors. So these are, I think, 12 or so social media properties, and I'm just going to walk through them. This is our website, visitphilly.com, which is really all of our evergreen travel information and sort of the basis for everything that we are promoting out there. And we use our website to promote our different social media properties, as I'm sure a lot of you do. We promote Facebook through our homepage, and of course we pull in our Twitter feeds and things like that. And it might seem counterproductive, but really we know that getting someone to be a fan or a follower on social media means that they'll keep coming back or keep getting our content throughout the day, rather than if they're just a visitor to our website once and they might click off and never come back. So it's really valuable for us to make our website visitors into our social media friends. So this is our blog, youwishyouKnew.com, whereas Visit Philly has more of the evergreen information. You Wish You Knew obviously changes. And in the past couple of years, we've redesigned the blog to be much more photo-heavy. And this has done a great thing for getting more repeat visitors. We also, if you can see in the top left of that corner, the Facebook like button and the tweet button, we make it really easy for readers to share all of our content. And we've, as I'll walk through, we've seen a huge increase in traffic to our websites because of these sort of tools. I think actually since we took the screen grab, we've added the Google +1 button as well. So just giving our readers the tools that they need to share our content with their friends and their networks. So You Wish You Knew has grown this is over 2007 to 2011. We've really changed our content strategy. where we were getting 20,000 hits a month, actually, or less. We're now getting up to 100,000 hits a month. Or I'm sorry, not hits, visitors. So that social media has really helped us, as well as our content strategy, to drive traffic to our sites, which is always what we want our visitors to do, so they can figure out what they want to do in Philadelphia. We launched a mobile site early 2011 so we can connect with the traveler on the go. We've decided to put our efforts into this rather than building a specific Facebook app that we would then have to continually market. So this is something that we have chosen to do, and we've seen that it really gets a lot of use on the weekends, so when the actual traveler is here. Of course, we have a YouTube and Flickr accounts, and a screen grab made that terrible black box, so sorry about that. We have more than 200 videos on our YouTube channel, and video is really important for us, so we can sort of counteract what people might think they know about Philadelphia. We let them see it. So it's really important for us to show them that in videos and on Flickr. And right now we don't use Flickr in a really heavily social way. It's more of a tool for our website to use, so we can create slideshows for our website and things like that. But that is a direction that other tourism offices go in. They use it very socially. So Twitter is obviously a big thing that we do. This is our main Twitter account, Visit Philly. So this is our main visitor information. And we use it to promote events or retweet our partners' content. And we do a lot of answering of visitor questions or just anybody's questions on here. So this is our main page where we actually interact with other accounts. And we try to get back to everyone that is talking to us. We also have one for You Wish You Knew, which is tied very closely with the content on the blog. Philly 360 is our African American tourism campaign. The crux of that campaign is really that they work with creative ambassadors or people who are doing cool things with art or music or fashion in Philadelphia. And a lot of that group is also very highly familiar with social media, so there's a lot of kind of buzz happening on social media, so we can promote that side of Philadelphia. And Philly Te Amo, which is our Hispanic tourism Twitter account. So Facebook.
Deliberately misspell that?
What was that?
Did you deliberately misspell
Philly Te Amo? I think that's spelled right.
No, it's Ama. If you're saying the first person, is that what you're saying?
What's Philly Loves You? So it's.
No, that's fine. You're good.
Okay.
That's right first.
So Facebook is a major tool for us because it drives so much traffic back to our websites. So this is our main Facebook page, which is facebook.com/visitphilly. And its main page, we have over 100,000 fans, so it's definitely driving a lot of traffic for us. We're getting a lot of interaction, and I'm going to get into in a minute the types of interaction we look for on Facebook. But we also have one for our gay campaign, which is Visit Gay Philly, Philly 360, which is our African American tourism campaign, and Philly Homegrown, which is our local food promotion program. And local food is like so easy to get people to interact with. They love it. People love talking about what they're cooking and what they're eating. So this is really fun, and Facebook was a natural pick for that campaign. So something that we've started to do, I don't know how many of you are really that involved in Facebook brand pages, but as it is a very important tool for us, we really pick it apart, and they've just provided new insights or new tools of how you can see how well all of your posts are doing on there. So we get to a pretty granular level where we pull out the types of posts that we put on Facebook that people are most interacting with so that we can adjust our strategy as we move on. So you'll see on the top left we have a poll about hoagie bread, which, again, people love to interact with food. On the bottom left, that was also related to a hoagie promotion, but we put up these images on Facebook, and people, again, love to look at and interact with images. And then numbers 2 and 5 were we were reposting accolades. So number 2 was where Capogiro was named #1 place to eat ice cream in the world by National Geographic. And number 5 was when Travel and Leisure ranked Philadelphia the #1 city for arts and culture. So these are types of image-building posts that people get really excited about, and Philadelphians don't necessarily know how great their city is sometimes, or maybe or a little hesitant to brag about it. But we sort of let them, give them the tools that they can use to brag about it. So if anybody is deep into Facebook, I'd be happy to, nerd out with you about that for a while. So Foursquare is a great tool for us. It's, relatively not too much staff time is related to this. We got very involved early on with launching a brand page, which means that we got that header that you see, and that we can check in to different places as a brand. So we check in as Visit Philly. We have about 18,000 friends and counting right now. We leave tips in the region at different locations. So, if you wanted to go to the the Woodmere Art Museum, you might find a tip from us about Saturday hours or something like that. Stuff that's really valuable to the traveler as they're walking around the region or traveling their way around the region. So this is really fun and easy, and this is the one thing that any of our partners who have an actual physical building, I always suggest that they at least take advantage of this, because there's really not too much upkeep.
How do you find the Foursquare? Or is it
so Foursquare is
layout? Click on it.
Foursquare is an app that you would put on your phone. I'm sorry. And definitely feel free to stop me if I'm glossing over things too quickly. So it's an app that you download on your phone, and using your phone's GPS, the app will say, okay, you're in the Friends Center. And you can see what tips people might have left about the Friends Center, get your parking validated at the front desk, something like that. So what we would leave one as Visit Philly to really help the visitor take advantage of the actual building that they're in at the time.
But what does the Foursquare have to do with it?
Foursquare is just the name of the app.
Okay. GPS?
The app is like a sort of a game or a tool that you can download to your phone. And Foursquare, there's lots of different names. So Foursquare is one.
One of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was there a hand in the back?
He was just saying.
Oh.
3 minutes?
Okay. We're also working with this app called Food Spotting, which helps you find your way, eat your way through Philadelphia. We are the first destination to launch on this, and this is one that will be coming up a lot in 2012. And so we're really excited because it helps, this is our page on it, and it really helps you eat your way through the city and the region. So this is our growth on social media fans and followers just from last year, November of last year. So don't get too attached to that number. It's growing all the time. We're tripling and quadrupling. And, that number right now at the end of November was nearly 200,000. That's just our immediate fan base. They all have networks of their own. And so it's really like a ripple effect that we rely on them to be our ambassadors to keep telling our story to their networks and their networks. And this is the traffic that they're driving back to our website. So we are actually seeing results. We're not just putting news out there and not getting anything back. We're actually having people click through to our website, participate in our contests, things like that. So, yep.
I just wondered if you could give some context for those numbers, like relative to the traffic that your website gets from other sources?
Well, I know that Facebook is like one of the top 3 drivers to our website. Do you know any more about the Google Analytics?
I guess, what percentage of your overall traffic is coming from social media?
I don't know that. I could look into it though and get back to you. But enough of amount that we really dedicate time and energy to it. But that's a good question. So this is a quick thing from 2010. You might have remembered when Cliff Lee was re-signed to the Phillies. There was a lot of excitement. We had people started demanding one of our With Love letters on Twitter. So we, and by we I mean Linda, quickly wrote one, and we distributed it via Twitter. You can see that this tweet was retweeted by more than 100 other users. This is what the line was. We were very excited to have him back. And then people asked for it to be on a billboard, so it was on a billboard. We tweeted this out. That tweet got 1 million views, 1 million responses. It went on to the AP, got into traditional media, got on Comcast. So what went from a tweet to a billboard, back to a tweet, back to traditional media. It was really sort of just expanding our reach, which was a great example of the types of things we try to do. I know I'm running out of time, so I'll go through these pretty quickly. We can sell hotel rooms using our accounts, which is, really the basis of what we do at the tourism office. The Sofitel Hotel gave us an exclusive offer just for our fans, and that's really important to us, is to have that exclusive content, exclusive deals. So we sold 40-something room nights, and a lot of those people upgraded. The hotel was very happy, so were our fans. We did a check-in special using the app Foursquare with Four Seasons, so that was fun. People got like a koozie, and it was just a great way of interacting with your fans and followers. This was another great one. We had an opportunity to tie 3 great brands together: Le Meridien Hotel, Lilly Pulitzer, which is an international clothing brand, and our brand, Visit Philly. The benefit of this was something that we did again on the app Foursquare. It wasn't that so many people came in droves to the hotel and checked in, even though people did do that. The real benefit was that we got this promotion on tech blogs, fashion blogs, PR blogs, and audiences that wouldn't normally get the hotel message were getting it because we did something creative. We go to events and hand out this card, which we have a professional photographer take pictures. We upload those pictures to Facebook, drives new fans to our Facebook page, where they get to see themselves and tag their photos. And when they tag it, their friends and family see that they have tagged it. We did it at every home game at Citizens Bank Park this summer. We teach food photography to food bloggers because we know they have audiences of their own, and we want them to tell the Philadelphia food story. And then this is something that we've done for the Winter Classic, which was yesterday. Another Linda Huss original right here. So we worked with the NHL. We worked with these high-level partners and write these with love letters, and then we put them on our social media, and then so do the partners as well. So the Flyers have a huge Facebook fan base, 700,000 fans, much bigger than ours. But we get to put our brand and our URL in front of them. So it's just a great way of expanding our reach. And I cut off the fact that this was actually tweeted out by the NHL. Not, of course, that was the most important part, and I cut it out. But so we just use our partners to really expand our social media reach, so we're not just doing everything on our own. So this is all the different ways we can stay in touch. I know I breezed through some things, so I'd be happy to answer some questions either now or after. Yes?
I have a quick question. With all the items in Philadelphia, like restaurants and hotels and everybody else, how do you deal with so many requests, because you have a huge fan base, to be put up, and can you walk us through, like, where the further you grow, the more that you're wanted?
Right. That's very true. We get a lot of those types of requests for all sorts of things, from our press releases to our advertising to our social media posts. And with Facebook, we don't want to be spamming with anything. We don't want to be spamming our people with every single request. So what we've started to do is a lot of different types of roundups. So we'll do like a roundup post on You Wish You Knew about, 5 great New Year's Eve dinners, things like that, so that we can, and then we'll promote that post using our social media outlets. So that way, it's not 5 separate posts. We're sort of giving people a list, and everybody loves lists. Like, we find people respond really well to our top 10 or lists and things like that. Also, we have a little bit more freedom with Twitter. If we can't get something onto like a Facebook post, we'll tweet it. And we also, we definitely can't promote everything, but we do find ways to promote the things that are most valuable to the potential traveler.
So the other question is, and I appreciate the answer on that, because it seems like a huge thing when people create a huge fan base. Everybody wants to utilize it rather than creating their own. So when you get a request from some of the people saying, "I'll pay you," so let's say a hotel, a restaurant, a chef, anything. How do you guys deal with it, and what do you do?
Yeah, we haven't gotten that yet for social media. I think also because a lot of that world, maybe a lot of the restaurant world or hotels know that we are not a membership organization. We do have opportunities that are paid partnership opportunities that mostly revolve around our advertising. But and those things sort of naturally get promotion on our social media base. Like, I'm just saying this as an example, like the flower show. We might be doing a paid partnership with them with advertising, but it's such a great event for the city that we would naturally be promoting it on social media. I think those partnerships sort of naturally rise to the top, and if it was not an appropriate partner, it's within our rights to say, like, this isn't going to help promote Philadelphia at all.
Okay.
A few questions. Yeah.
All right.
One is.
Okay, go ahead. As people start thinking of.
It looks. You have a very sophisticated approach to marketing and social media. Do you test things? The strategy is test and learn. So do you practice test and learn?
Yes.
Okay. So
we do.
Test everything.
We do. We test everything, and right now we know that we're really frustrated with our Visit Gay Philly Facebook page. There's just not as much interaction on it as we want. So we are testing new types of posts, like how can we get people to interact more? Is there something that we're doing? Is it something about the audience? I can't think of anything that we've dropped 100%, but we are always testing and improving ourselves.
So I was interested in this 360-degree site and that in particular how this, you mentioned the Gay Philly, but the less massive and your main site has
smaller,
huge traffic, huge volume. So what do you do? You mentioned Gay Philly, but how about the 360 site? Because again, these are audiences which have a different mode of interaction, possibly.
Right.
They not necessarily have a lot of money on tourism.
Right. We test with that too. Like with the Philly 360 site, they have that team has really found that videos work really well. So they put more of their effort into videos than something else. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of testing, and one of the questions that I wanted to bring up was, what to do next, because like everyone, we do get to that point where we're kind of, at capacity with staff, but we do always want to be approaching the next thing, and at some point we're going to have to say maybe we can't do every single thing that's out there. Right now, Google, before we jump right into Google+, we're really taking our time with that, more time than we've taken with anything else before jumping in the past, just because we now are really at the hilt with what we're doing.
Okay, so does anyone have any ideas? If they had, mentioned sort of, let's start with new tools possibly. I know you mentioned, not jumping into Google+, but, possibly some ideas on how they might use Google+, or Pinterest, if anyone else here knows what it is. That's like a pin, right? It's a location-based.
Yeah, it's like a pin board, kind of how you would have like a inspiration board, on a bulletin board. It's a virtual version, and it's done a lot of great things for like fashion and highly visual brands. And Linda and I are very interested in it personally. Maybe it's somewhere else we should go. But did you have thoughts back there?
Before you start, I just wanted to point out we're not passing around the mic during the Q&A because it's just too cumbersome. Yeah. But please speak up. You'll be picked up by the ceiling mics. But we like people to try and speak up louder than you think you might need to be heard in order for the recording to be able to do it.
Okay, so are there any suggestions on tools, or either new tools or perhaps, I guess, what the tools that they're currently
called? That virtual pin board?
That was called Pinterest.
Pinterest.
Like interest.
Pinterest.
Right. Like interest.
Yeah, it's on the. We'll show it up again. It's on the slide that we've got. So, all right, you have a suggestion on a tool?
You were about to say something.
Yeah. Actually, we just added from generosity.org. We just started using Pinterest this week along with Instagram, and I'm a big fan of not adding social networks for the sake of adding the next social network. And but the reason that we're looking into these is because they actually help us with our workflow. So, and you're highly visual. You wish you knew with the photos. It would parlay very nicely into Pinterest, I think. Like you said, Flickr is a place to put your photos, but it's not necessarily social. I think what you might find is people, especially food, showcasing food things or crafty things or ideas, on Pinterest, people will be more interested in them, and it all leads back to your website. It's all, the source is always there. And Instagram, I think, would be a really cool platform for you to look into, because you can use hashtags. You can actually search on Instagram. If you search Philly, like thousands of things come up. Like I was searching mummers, and it was really cool to see people's perspectives from different points of view along the parade route. So if you look at that, you could actually find photos to use on the blog, and reach out to that user and say, like, can we use this photo on the blog? And it's a whole other source of we're finding like of inspiration or actual images that we can use on the site.
So just in case you couldn't all hear, his suggestion was to use programs like Instagram or Pinterest, where you can find either other people's, like on Instagram you can use other people's photos or put up your own to sort of have, I mean, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, to sort of have a more holistic view of, like, if you are searching the mummers, to see what other people are putting up as the mummers. And that's really a crowdsourcing idea that we haven't gotten into so much, just because of, I don't know why we haven't crowdsourced.
It's really new. I mean, there's only like 5 people that work at Instagram, and they don't even have a web. It only works on the iPhone, so it's like, it's really just a good time to investigate that platform. As a source or a resource, and just getting like, what do people really think about the Phillies, or what are they really taking? What are they really, the Winter Classic, for instance, or something? So,
While Caroline is gathering her thoughts about Tumblr, or I'm sorry, did you have a suggestion?
I mean, yeah, another suggestion, I guess, depends on your answer to the initial question. Have you done any work on outreach to university students and prospective students that would migrate here for 4 years and possibly stay?
We haven't really done that. Well, we used to have a program and work closely with Campus Philly, and that is their mission to, attract, engage, and retain, I think. That's like their tagline. And we did work with them many years ago, and for whatever reason, they sort of like got off the ground and are doing it really well. So that is their mission, and that's great. We would probably be like a little bit more interested in the people coming to visit them while they're in college and getting them to, instead of crashing on the dorm room floor, like get a hotel. But that is a great asset that Philadelphia has. All of the colleges that are around here, not only keeping students, but also, while they're here, people visiting and them coming back if they do leave. But we don't have an active program for that. We hope that our campaigns do engage them just because they're here. But, there is a pen person on our board, so we've been doing a little bit more recently for some reason. But
so,
Craig, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Did you have
that's the type of answer I was looking for, and one of the experiences that I've had that might be helpful. I don't know if you've used sort of the band of bloggers model, or the sort of leveraging economies of scale across organizations to say, look, the content that we're posting about Philadelphia hotels and walkways and motor museum is just as relevant to Campus Philly for students, and Campus Philly is probably producing a lot of content that's relevant to you. But those networks, probably the majority of the time, are not an overlapping Venn diagram. They're most likely separate. So I'm wondering if there's a potential opportunity for reuse and posting each other's blogs in that way across a number of different organizations.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. We do try to point people in the right direction whenever they, have an idea or a question. We don't actively link to Campus Philly's blog right now. I do know that they have one. They list You Wish You Knew as a resource for their students, or for students, who are trying to find out what's going on. But that is a really good idea, and I mean, we keep them in mind, definitely.
Yeah, a formal partnership in that sense is really helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Wendy, did you have a question, or were you
I'm
just
gonna hold
stretching?
off.
Okay,
Thank you
go
very
ahead.
much.
Sorry.
Just wondering how you would use Pinterest, because I was thinking, for example, if you wanted to find out where the yarn bombing is in the city, there's no good place that I know to find it, and that's location-based. It's not exactly an image, but that's things that some people go looking for.
Right. Is Pinterest location?
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
You do have a big finger. Wasn't it? Because
I have the tea. I just don't know if it helps.
Sorry.
I mean, I would think that Pinterest is location based only so far as what we say where it is, right? Or you're
I think Foursquare is more of the location based one. But to promote things on Pinterest, I mean, we haven't started, of course, and we actually just said 2 sentences about it before we started this here. So what we just said was we thought it would be really good for Philly Homegrown, our local food initiative, because, people love photos of pictures, basically, and just in our own personal use of it, we do see a lot of food photos and recipes on that site, so that would be a great way for us to get Philly Homegrown out there in a different way, and plus just, different photos of Philadelphia. I mean, people love our pictures. I mean, we see them every day, all day long, but we love looking at our vibrant photography.
I was curious if you had considered developing maybe a mobile app that would be useful for families, like some kind of game that could engage the whole family, because it's really hard to get kids interested in history and, strange food and things like that.
We have discussed it. Caroline knows more about this than I do.
Every time we go to look into either developing our own app or working with someone like that might have one that we would be a big partner on, it's just really difficult for us because it becomes then something else to maintain. So we really do struggle with that. I mean, we listen to new app developers' ideas and we like them, but a lot of the times we become sort of the marketing muscle that has to then promote that app, and it's just really difficult for us to commit to continually promoting an app. That's why with our mobile website, you naturally find that if you go to our website from your phone, you just you shoot over to the mobile website, so you don't have to download it or buy it or anything like that. We aren't ruling out creating sort of a family-friendly app or maybe a scavenger hunt type app, things like that. But right now, our strategy has been just to stick with big apps like Food Spotting or Foursquare that already have the momentum behind them, that won't rely on us to do the marketing, and that sort of have a following that we don't have to build, just because there's only so much we can do. So it's a great idea, but we just kind of haven't been able to get there yet.
Two things. One, I just want to piggyback to what you just said. First, there is a game which is called Hipster City Cycle that takes place in Philadelphia. I mean, it has the taste. You don't necessarily see the landmarks, and it was developed by a game developer in Philadelphia. It might be easy to put the landmarks and make it a way to promote them. Second thing is that
I'm sorry, is that hipstercity.com?
yes, it's hipstercity.com, exactly. And the second thing is that you have a whole community of game developers in Philadelphia who are very young and very eager and really awesome, very dynamic. They would jump on this. They'd love to do this. You'll see why I'm talking about this in a minute. Second thing is I want to take feedback on the Philly Homegrown. It's actually, I thought this was a sustainability website because it's all about homegrown food. And I think the link of tourism, I think it's really great. I don't know what the stats are, but just keep doing it. It's fantastic.
I have heard of Hipster City Cycles, so I will definitely look into it again. And we know that Philadelphia is a huge biking community.
The developer is a good friend of mine.
Okay.
I can arrange this easily.
Good, yeah, thanks. And also, Philly Homegrown, it is a big part of that program isn't just tourism attraction, it's also consumer education. And you're right, the sustainability is a major part of it. That was a grant that we have right now from the William Penn Foundation. And who was the other? Ooh, okay, I'm going to get myself in trouble. So it's a grant to promote Philadelphia's local food scene. And what we are is the marketing arm of that, and we're really working with groups like Fair Food, who have sort of the educational know-how behind it. So a lot of these, the places that put on the farmers markets and get the farm to table movement that are doing that muscle, we are acting as their voice and working very closely with them.
Okay. How are we doing? Are we done? What time-wise? Were we?
We're at 18 minutes.
Oh, so we're a little over. Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I assumed, although one should not assume, I did, that we would have a lot of conversation about this, especially because you've got so many properties. So what I'm going to ask is, because we do have our other two presenters, and but we have and I actually have some ideas too, but I'm going to hold off on that. So we have our other presenters, and then we have, will you be able to at least stay to the end? Okay. So then we also have that half hour at the very end where you can come up and bring your ideas and share them. But just so we want to make sure that our other presenters have the time. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do have some thoughts.
Okay. That's a good reason. I'm Ryan.
Okay, so next up is protecting our waters, and if you want to just grab a drink or some cookies while we're setting up, it's right over here.
There's a professional grade, some essentially helping to teach internet marketing students, particularly right now in the programs, but really the key idea is transferring and I'm starting here in the city, and I thought you might be able to give me some advice or have some insights on this. Probably after this, I guess it's going to start back up. Just thinking.
What's that?
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Kind of Temple undergrad. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I guess you could. I crossed the line. And in fact, I didn't know it was.
It's kind of all over. It's basically very independent because each department essentially has their own budgeting.
When it comes to in order for them to sort of
evidence of adamant
So you're the universities you work with right now are Temple and Penn, and those
I don't even understand when they're top 5 of this country.
Yeah, that goes.
The only way that is legal because they're giving you. So, I mean, there's other ones actually. Like there's some other sources that are sort of like mentioned, but yeah. So like
So, which I thought was really neat about co-founders, where you're like, oh, okay, it's worried about Kiva is using your money and really great, but never hear anything else about it, and you're not really all that invested in like
What type of service do you provide when you talk about the internet? What languages and
where I'm at, and it would be kind of cool to continue the crowdsourcing.
Back on my card, it was going for Kickstarter to start with. Did not come.
The only problem is I think I would need just 1 month like that. Something like that would give me like a might be my numbers would be off. You mean you thought that if you're getting...
That's all right. I can see this still. Give it up. That was on all.
But I know what the actual operational expenses are. And if what charities are, they would take enough.
again with where the site or lead advocate of these separate sites going.
Same site or
Correct. So not
Okay. Crowdsourcing Change Part 2 is about to begin.
It was really minimal interest. It is, but you're right, 150 million. Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're ready for our next presentation, which is by Protecting Our Waters. This is Iris Bloom, who's the founder, and she's going to explain what the organization does and how they've so far engaged in social media, and hopefully we'll get a lot of suggestions from our crowd as we did with our first presenter. So take it away, Iris.
All right. So thanks, everybody. Protecting Our Waters is a really new, very grassroots, unfunded organization that has been hitting the streets and testifying a lot, actually. Last year was the year of the protester, and I'm going to talk about that and actually show you a little video of some protests that we did. But it was also the year for people that are fighting the fracking industry. It was the year of the testifier. We went to countless events to testify in public against fracking. And I guess I should say a little bit about the issue so you know what I'm talking about, and then go straight to the video and then how we use the blog and social media. How many of you know what fracking is? Wow! So we've done our job. When we first started working on it, people really didn't know what it is or why they should be worried about it. And also, people had no idea. When I say we first started, I first started writing about the issue in 2009, founded Protecting Our Waters informally in the fall of 2009, and then have been doing flat-out activism in 2010 and 2011. And to give you a sense of our size, we raised $2,000 in 2010 and $48,000 in 2011. So, but most of what we do is completely grassroots and completely, free volunteer-based work. So, when we were first getting underway, people in Philadelphia had no idea. They thought fracking maybe was something that happened out west, and it happened maybe in western Pennsylvania, but it had nothing to do with us here in Philadelphia. So we really had to work extremely hard to get people to realize that there are many, many leases signed. They're planning up to 20,000 wells in the upper Delaware River, and we're directly downstream from that. So it's very direct impact on Philadelphia. So we're Philadelphia-based, but we're also working statewide to protect the other two watersheds. And the issue, just very briefly, of course, is not just about water, it's about air. There are toxic chemicals like toluene and benzene that are toxic in the parts per million that are going into the ground, into the water, and into the air everywhere that fracking is done. And animals are dying, people are getting sick. So we're really outraged about it. So we called our first big demonstration about this issue, which was the biggest demonstration in the country. And it's kind of amazing, the little tiny Protecting Our Waters pulled this together. It was just this last September because the industry came to town and decided to have their fracking industry convention right here in Philadelphia. And we needed to do something about it. So I'm just going to show you the little 48-second YouTube clip of a little bit of what that demonstration was like.
We have sound, but
yeah, there's lots of great sound.
Tested that.
But it worked on hers?
It worked before.
Nice.
Craig, okay.
Portions, gas industry, contaminating water supplies, air, people's homes, everywhere it goes.
My water contamination is very real, like a heritage that must not be destroyed. Water is precious. Once water is contaminated, it can't be fixed. Water is life. Thank you.
I've heard it again.
You want to see the beginning?
Yeah.
You kind of loses something if you don't see the beginning. All right, it's just 48 seconds.
Ban it now! Ban it now! Ban it now! Ban it now!
This really is not just an environmental issue, is it? The answer would be no. It is as this sign says over here, it's a public health issue.
Fracking is a disaster unfolding across Pennsylvania of unprecedented proportions. The gas industry is contaminating water supplies, air, people's homes, everywhere it goes.
My water contamination is very real, like a heritage that must not be destroyed. Water is precious. Once water is contaminated, it can't be fixed. Water is life. Thank you.
So that just gives you a little bit of the flavor of some of our work. So what I'm going to do here is talk a little bit about our strengths and then our weaknesses in terms of social media, which is where you come in.
Quick, someone explain to me what fracking was, very briefly, like in a sentence or two.
Okay.
Like how they go into the...
Okay. So I'm going to do it very briefly because what I normally do is talk endlessly about what fracking is and how bad it is for you. So no. So it's a challenge to try to be brief and talk about other stuff. But what it is a new type of gas drilling where they drill vertically 5,000, 6,000 feet. So they're going a mile down into hard rock called shale, which is also called a tight formation. The gas is in little molecules in the rock. So it's not in a big pool of gas close to the surface. It's deep in the rock. And then they also turn the drill horizontally, drill another mile or two. So they use 5 to 7 million gallons of water per frac per well. And they poison 100% of that water with hundreds of toxic chemicals. And when the water comes back up, it's radioactive, as well as intensely salty, as well as full of the original chemicals, as well as mixed with hydrocarbons. So it comes back up as really dangerous toxic waste. And the industry that's doing the fracking is exempt from most of the federal environmental laws that matter. So it's a really dangerous situation. So, but I'm going to try to not talk nonstop about the issue, which is what I usually do.
Look it up. I've got it.
Yeah, you go to our website.
I remember. Sure.
So some of our strengths have been really old-fashioned organizing. A lot of what we do that has been really effective has been old-fashioned stuff. Paper letters to city council that got that first pro-moratorium resolution passed early in 2010. That was mostly paper letters and then this thing called Citizen Speak, which is a very simple online e-letter. We do face-to-face organizing, expanding our circles outwards. Labor, faith-based circles, physicians, nurses. Those are some of the really important kind of sectors that we're working with so that it's not just the same old kind of usual environmentalists. Because this issue affects everybody. I mean, it affects everybody. Then we do press releases, press conferences. All of this doesn't necessarily have any presence online. We do direct outreach. We do phone banking. And when I say phone banking, I have to mention over here Jerry Silberman, who has been working with Protecting Our Waters for a year now as a leader, and that's one of the things that he's brought, and it makes a huge difference, the sound of a human voice on the phone when you're trying to get people to turn out. And also Vanessa Maria over here has been doing social media with Protecting Our Waters, and Ivanka, if she's still in the room. So there's a few of us. You can ask questions later. We also show up at all kinds of public meetings, make our voices heard. Last March on International Women's Day, we had, because there was no hearing in Philadelphia for the Delaware River Basin Commission, we organized our own. We had one at City Hall on March 8th. And we had hundreds of people turn out, and I just reread all the testimony, and I was blown away by how much people are willing to learn about the issue and then testify in public about it. So those are all strengths. I think in general, our social media is in general not so much a strength of ours. We do have a Facebook page. Let's see if I can find it for you. So I was nominated for Citizen of the Year, so that got posted yesterday. But we only did like 3 posts on our own Facebook page since October. So that tells you we haven't been that active. We have two different Facebook pages. So other people do lots of posts, but we do have a Twitter account. This was mostly, the Twitter and Facebook became much more active when we were organizing a huge demonstration. So in our day-to-day and week-to-week work, we're not using that as much. But what we use all the time in terms of media, social media, is a blog considered social media? It is, right? Okay, so good, because we do this all the time. And I had never done a blog post before I started working with Protecting Our Waters, and was a print journalist, and was dragged kicking and screaming to blogging, and now I can't stop. So I've become, I think I've done 420 posts. So we have these different tags. You can see there's multimedia. For those of you that want to get a sense of, you want to take like 10 minutes and learn the most crucial aspects of public health impacts of fracking, just go look at this video. Just play this video for yourself, and you'll understand that, benzene extinguishes pregnancies and stuff like that.
So you pretty much have to know that URL, right? Because
so it's a simple URL. If you just type in protectingourwaters.com, it will take you there. So you don't have to do the WordPress thing.
It redirects to the WordPress site.
Protecting our waters. So I just did that because I think it's cool. But you don't have to write in all the WordPress stuff. Just protectingourwaters.com. That's the blog. And so we have news items all the time. There was an earthquake in northeastern Ohio, 4.0, on New Year's Eve day. That's huge. That was caused by re-injecting the flowback hydraulic fracturing. So that waste fluid that comes up is so toxic they don't know what to do with it. So they truck it to Ohio, inject it deep in the ground where it's causing earthquakes, including big earthquakes. So that's one of the more recent posts. I'm just going to give you one other quick example. We repost sometimes things from New York Times, Washington Post, whatever, major newspapers, but also other people's blogs or other organizations' blogs. And in this case, an Iraq veteran who served for 6 years is speaking out against fracking and against war and pointing out that some of the same corporations are profiting from both of them. So let's see. Oh, I wanted to show you really briefly, since we came from nothing and don't have, I think it's kind of cool that we got 100,000 visitors this year on our blog. And WordPress actually sends you, let's see the stats, the stats. Let's see, annual blog report. So I'll just show you this, and then we'll try to open it up to some discussion. I do know how to scroll. I just remembered. So if our blog were an exhibit at the Louvre, it would take 4 days for all those people to go see it. Most people came from Facebook. We referred to ourselves a lot. And this is where people came from. So people are looking at the blog from all over the world. And if you click on any one of these guys, they'll break it down. But unfortunately, it doesn't tell you the numbers. So we don't know how many visitors we got from the Philippines, only that 15.2% of the visitors who were from Asia were from the Philippines. Fracking is a global issue. So here we are, Philadelphia-based, but we're getting visitors from all over the world because they are trying to frack in South Africa, Australia, and all kinds of places. And energy, of course, is a global issue. So with that, let me see if Vanessa wants to say anything about the social media aspects building up to Shale Gas Outrage and Freedom from Fracking Conference.
Sure. So I volunteered with Protecting Our Waters over the summer, not knowing a whole lot about fracking, and to help out with this event. And the one thing that occurred to me is that they didn't have any social media infrastructure, which kind of scared me as an avid user of Facebook and Twitter. So immediately we started a Facebook page and a Twitter account, and we created a team of people to be able to log on to those accounts to manage them. So the first thing that we did was we created a social media plan that had a strategy to let people know what the goals were. So our short-term goals were to teach people about fracking, let them know about the event, provide logistical information during the event, and then to get press and media about the event on Facebook and Twitter after it happened. So that's what we did. We gave several people access, and we created several hashtags that people used, such as shale gas outrage, dirty gas drilling, no fracking, and we made lots of announcements during the event to have our supporters use those hashtags and link back to our pages. We got a lot more people to sign on to come to the event because we put it on Facebook and Twitter, and we were able to field questions about logistics using both of those platforms. During the event, we were able to post updates and pictures and get the video that we had created, get it out right away. And then we were also able to link all the press, like all the news articles that were written about us right away. And the most interesting part of that weekend was my Twitter battle with somebody from Chesapeake Energy, which is the largest natural gas driller in the country. And they tried to lie and say that there was 100 people at our 100 crazy environmentalists at our protest. And I was like, no, that's a lie. At Chesapeake Energy, that is untrue. And because we had so much media and documentation, we were able to, tweet pictures and video showing without a doubt that there were over 1,000 people there. One video in particular that showed the march that we had for 4 minutes long. People are marching. So, needless to say, he was left speechless by the end of it. And the other cool thing about that is that I was in a room with lots of people when I was doing this. We were down the street at Arch Street Methodist Church. And I said, everyone get on Twitter and tell Chesapeake Energy that they're lying and let's harass them. So several of us got on Twitter on our cell phones and we started sending all of these messages. And then other people started tweeting and we totally shut them down. So it was like really exciting. The inherent problem with Facebook and Twitter, and the reason why I think that there hasn't been any activity is because it takes an incredible amount of capacity to manage these pages on a day-to-day basis. You have to, one, search for news articles and things that have to do with fracking. You have to interact with the people that comment on your site, and you have to connect what you're doing to the wider movement. So if you only have one person doing that, it can be a lot. And I think that a lot of the people that support protecting our waters and correct me if I'm wrong, is a little bit of an older constituency, and maybe they don't tweet and do Facebook as much. So the challenge has been trying to increase our fans. I thought for sure after shale gas outrage that our numbers would triple or get like 1,000 people. And it didn't happen, even though we promoted it throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I want to make room for people to give us suggestions.
Yeah, so I guess one of my questions to the crowd would be like, how do we increase our fans? How do we get more people to follow us on Twitter? And if you guys could tell us how to do that, I think that would be really useful.
Okay, and just before I open it up to suggestions, I just want to mention that after shale gas outrage, we helped to mobilize 79,000 comments against fracking and mobilized 15 buses of people to the Delaware River Basin Commission meeting on the 15th, and we actually won an incredible battle, and we're broadening and deepening all that time. So incredibly effective organizing, and it's clearly multi-generational. We do have a base, I think, that's multi-generational and that's really strong, but it's not really visible or showing up in the social media. So it's a perfect moment to get suggestions and questions from all of you. So take it away.
Okay, Nate, go ahead.
Hi. So 2 comments. One way to maximize your effectiveness, if you've got someone who can do some limited amount of blogging and tweeting, is to react when there is something like the Ohio earthquake. When that happened, people all over the country and probably the world who were following it were searching for, were paying attention to fracking for, a 2 or 3 day spike over that incident. And then we're probably going back to whatever else that we're doing. So if you, during that time, are also actively tweeting and commenting on the news, then people who are saying, every news site that you read now has got the side column with all the social media stuff. So if they're reading an article about the earthquake, on the right is going to be all the social media about the earthquake, and your stuff will come up, and you're more likely to get that attention if you time your burst of outreach during when someone else is doing, that kind of thing in the news. Second thing, real quick, I think it'd be really cool. The lady on the video that said, what was her line? My water contamination is real. I think it'd be really cool if you could get people to contribute either pictures that they take of the drillers or videos of the trucks rumbling by. Like, apparently you can stand at an intersection and watch truck after truck after truck after truck roll by. Just get people to contribute that stuff. Or get someone to take a picture or a scan of their water quality, like, readout number or whatever that says, like, failed, 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 failed. You know, like, that would be really cool to see individual people's contributing, you know, this is what.
And let me just mention, since we have a blog, you know, we have hundreds and hundreds of posts that include things like that. I mean, we also have a resources page that you can, you know, go to, and all that stuff is out there. But because it's a blog, everything disappears really fast. So there is a search term, but you know, we do put that stuff out there, but how do you keep it out there since every time the news changes, the blog changes as well?
Okay.
And I know she had her hand up.
Oh, sorry. Who's
over to the right?
I was just going to share that one thing I found that was useful for one of the nonprofits I consult with as far as increasing following is it's kind of a no-brainer, but we partnered with a local celebrity to tweet our message to their followers. And it worked really well for us. We didn't get a tremendous spike because our partnership was only about a week or two, but we did get some surprise donations that from some of their followers and their fan base were directed to our sites. So it worked well with us.
Caroline, did you have
Well, I think, Iris, you hit it on the nail on the head when you said you have all that great content. So if you have so many blog posts and videos and things like that, I mean, the social media sites can be another platform to reuse that stuff, especially on Facebook if you wanted to generate some conversation around your latest post, or tweet out a link to your article, because then, you know, that's what I was talking about, how the people who follow you already, they will retweet and repost that content. So I think, you know, that's what so many people struggle with, is getting that content, and you have it. So I feel you're already ahead of the game. There's also just, if you have like a developer, whoever works on your website, like a little bit of code where you can put in that little, there's like a little button on each post where you can, people can post it to Facebook. Yeah, so that's we've just found that people really kind of are attracted to doing that.
I was going to say, we were talking about this earlier. There's tools like Hootsuite, TweetDeck, that if you have limited time, you know, you can just make one post that shows up in Twitter and Facebook, and it's not, you can lose a little bit of your effectiveness per post, but just to get it out there, it's probably worth it. There's one called Hootsuite. And
Hootsuite and TweetDeck, the dashboards,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, and so it just makes it a lot easier to get it out. And you've got the blogs, so every time you add a blog, I would just do it takes 2 minutes or less, 30 seconds to get the entries into Twitter and Facebook, and then you let that, you know, that will hopefully other people will pick it up, you know, and make it, you know, retweet, do whatever. But if you don't have that information out there, you know, they have to go to your blog to find it, which may be more hassle. Also, the other question I have is why the redirect on the on your WordPress? You know, you already have the domain, so can you fix, you know, change? I know how to do it, where you just go directly to it and not have that redirect. That may
you do just go directly to it. You just go.
No, it redirected it though.
Well, that's because it's a WordPress blog.
It's not
free.
hosted on WordPress. There's nothing hosted on that name, so they're just redirecting. The site doesn't exist on .com.
If you Google protecting our waters, that's the first thing that comes up, and you just go straight there.
You just bought the domain so that. So
right. No, I have the same thing. When it goes right to it, it doesn't actually show you correcting it. But we can talk later.
I see a bunch of other people, and I want to hear,
All right.
hear everything.
Jacques, did you have something? You had your hand up.
Yes. So actually, the question I have is, what is it that you really want from your audience? Because if there is, so I'm trying to think through this. If it was to, let's say, come to show up at the demonstration, here's an issue, which is that for some people, even though they may totally agree with what protecting our water is about, demonstrating is, there's a social resistance to doing this.
Yeah, no, that's why I mentioned the testifying. I mean, we've done most of our campaigns have involved write a letter, make a phone call, write a letter, make a phone call. We've done a lot of calling and a lot of writing of letters, and that's been tremendous.
So
we've made that really clear.
Here's where I'm going. Make it fun. The way to get over the resistance of being engaged, because, I mean, life is pulling us in 15 different directions, more or less. And why am I going to pay attention to this, more to that? Is make it fun. Because the fun is what takes over the resistance of infringing a social norm.
Can you suggest how to do that?
Games. That's all from games. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. I saw a question. Okay. Ivan, did you have some?
Yeah. So, building on that a little bit, I think it would be worth thinking about where the audience for your different presences are coming from. So, like, people are engaging with you on Facebook and Twitter, and people are coming to your website, your blog. I don't know if you have an email newsletter or something like that.
Yeah, we do. Our e-list is like 2,700 people.
Right, and so like, are you trying to have the people that you have now and get them more engaged in a particular way, or are you trying to attract more people?
Okay.
And they're like two different.
You're right. And this is a creative tension in the work that we do, but I would say we want to do three things. One is to continually educate people who have vaguely heard about fracking or vaguely heard there's something with the water or the air, but give them real information about why they should be really concerned. So kind of intensifying and giving them ammunition. Information is power. So that's one. Another is to take people who have kind of drunk the Kool-Aid that, there's a few problems, but we just got to regulate it. It's going to be fine. And kind of help them understand that that's not the case. And then, third and fourth are getting people who are already committed to actually do stuff.
So it sounds like for most of that would be about taking the stories that you already have and the information that you already have and promoting it more. And so I would definitely agree with the idea of getting those social media widgets on there so people can share things easily. In terms of the domain name, if you pay WordPress.com $15 a year, you can have the domain. It's not a redirect. It will look as if that is your site. And the reason that's important is because if someone goes to that domain and then copies that URL and tries to share it, then it's going somewhere else. So you have two different addresses that are going out there. One is the real domain, and one is the domain.wordpress.
We do pay WordPress. I mean, we do have that domain.
No, you can pay an additional $15 to not ever say WordPress.com.
And then the third real quick resource I wanted to offer is an article from a group called Social Signal, a consulting firm, called How to Sustain a Social Media Presence in 3 Hours a Week. So I'll post that on Twitter and give some tips on how to do that. Hootsuite and TweetDeck are one way. There are some other options.
Okay. I was thinking, yet again, we're going to run over time, but I didn't want last time.
Well, the last two
no, but he had a question last time and they didn't get it in, so I went and. I'm sorry, y'all know your name. The red tie.
Ryan Red Tie.
Okay.
So getting to actually what Jacques was saying, in terms of engagement, another possibly it goes just as strong is the personal connection. So what's in it for me, or how does it affect me? And this affects everyone in this room and everyone in our city now or will very soon. And I understand that budget and technology limitations are a big consideration in developing anything. something that could be very simple and that could increase engagement drastically, in my opinion. This is just off my head; it's not proven, but I think you could create something that is literally find out if you are affected, if your drinking water is directly affected by this issue. You click, you put in your email address. You say, show me, you click on a drop down of 10 counties or 30 counties or however many, you want to include. And all you do is you match up those counties in a database. Any developer can do this for you. You match up those counties to yes, no, yes, future, or not at all, which probably won't even be an issue. But, and you bring them to a page that says, you are directly affected. Here's the map, which is just a one, all you need is one image of a map that shows everything and says, when they come to that page, Montgomery County is directly affected. Your drinking water is in danger and your health is in danger. And then when they get to that page, say, please share these results on Facebook and Twitter. So you put those like buttons there on Google+, and email this to your friends and contact your senator. And so you give them like different action steps and just knock it off one after the other. And when they share it, have that message say, I found out that my drinking water is contaminated. I am living in this state and paying taxes XYZ. Click here to find out if your water is contaminated too.
Great. Okay. I'm sorry. We got to cut it short because we have one more wonderful presenter. This is City, and Jacques is going to come up. We are not going to take a break like last time. We're just this is going to be a real quick changeover. Thank you, Ira. Afterwards, and I think he's coming out with us. Maybe so.
And if you want to get on our old-fashioned e-list, you can sign up on a paper petition over there in the old-fashioned way.
Bravo for the work you're doing.
Also, Citizen of the Year.
Really strong. Powerful words, protecting our waters, It really is fair, like how or not. Protecting our waters.
It's worse than you ever thought.
But it doesn't come up. When I think how far it's gone, it's still a little public notice.
Well, you get okay, all right. Okay, as I mentioned, we're going to get rolling real quick on this one, this changeover. So, as I said, we'll have time after for more one-on-one networking or for you to connect with the different projects. Okay. Right.
Okay. There we go. All right, I'm Jacques Sapriel. I don't sit. I'd rather say, well, I'm not from South Philly. I'm from the south of Europe, so I use my hands to talk. And when I'm excited, I'm quite excited right now. So I don't want to be sitting, so I'll sit.
I'm curious though, South of Europe, what does that mean?
Pardon?
Specifically. South of Europe?
I'm sorry, I'm not going to answer now because it's not really relevant.
Don't worry about it.
It was really kind of a joke. Anyway, so what is Philly Eco-City? Philly Eco-City is a prototype. It's a prototype for a regional sustainability hub. That's what it is. I started this in late 2007, 2008, actually at the time of the election of the current mayor, Mr. Nutter. And I started this because there was something which really perplexed me. Well, there were three debates at the Academy of Natural Sciences. And actually, that's on the top left. It's one of the debates on sustainability and the future of the city and of the region. And well, the mainstream media had nothing, not a thing on that. I'm like, where are we? What's going on? I mean, this is the issue, which probably the main issue that humans have ever confronted, bigger than Afghanistan, bigger than Iraq, and a few other things, and there's nothing in the press. Okay, so I decided to do something about it. What I did is I created a blog, which with this name, Philly City, and I observed. So I used the occasion to I've gone to countless meetings, etc., and observed the sustainability scene in Philadelphia, if you want, while writing about it. And so my background is economics, marketing, information systems, and what you're going to the next few slides, basically, it's what I observed. So, which got me to change the concept, to move from a blog to something else, to an information and social networking hub. So, Philadelphia is a pretty unique place. Well, you all know that. What's more interesting is that it has totally amazing assets in terms of sustainability. There are not many cities on this planet which have. I mean, this is just a few of the assets. Just count the number of cities which have a park in town which is as big as this one. They're not many, very few. And a few other things that I'm not going to name because you can see them here. And the other thing I observe is there's lots of things happening, and this is just a small. This is maybe a quarter. I mean, this list could be the whole length of the slide. I just want to point out two in there that I put at the end: Terra Pass and Recycle Bank. You may not have heard of them. I'm pointing to them because I'm going to talk about those two a little later again. So there's lots of things happening, and well, there's no critical mass. Well, critical mass is this term which comes from nuclear physics. And it's used in sociology, actually, to describe a movement that is a condensation, a gel of people coming together and doing things, and doing things much faster. And so there are lots of things all over the place. And, well, I'll give you two examples of critical mass. Is one which is Occupy. Occupy reached critical mass in the summer, and it went viral all over the country and outside the United States, etc. Another example is Silicon Valley. The Bay Area is the place worldwide for technology startups. Why? Well, a little bit like Occupy. You have imagination, people who have frustration or want to do something, and they have the motivation, they have the talent, and they well, in the case of Silicon Valley, they have the money, and they talk, they meet, they talk together. Well, so often I feel like this guy. The beginning is near, right? And why critical mass is important is because, let's see, the idea of Philly Ecocity is basically let's use the tools of information technology to accelerate this critical mass on sustainability. Why accelerate? It's pretty straightforward. We can use those tools today. In 10 years from now, I'm not that sure. In 15 years from now, I'm even less sure. Why? Too bad Jerry just left. Jerry would tell you that when we have a meter and a half, when the poles are melted down and we have a meter and a half more water, we're going to live on a very minimum budget of electricity. And information technology requires electricity to function. So right now we have that luxury. So let's do it while we can. So that's the vision statement. I'm not going to read it for you. The point I want to make on the vision statement is that I believe that most large cities have this kind of activity, but not the gel. So I live here. I care about this place. I've been living here for quite a while. I care about Philadelphia, and I thought, okay, let's try to do something here because that's where I am. And if it sticks, if it works, well, that's why I said it's a prototype, and it's also a prototype because I've used I didn't build this myself. I'm here just by myself. I do have I was going to say a technology partner. A very bright student from UPenn in computer science who built this site actually, but he couldn't be here tonight. So where are we at? The blog was in from 2008 to the summer. The new site was developed over the summer. It launched in September. The number of unique visitors is pretty low, as you can see. It's entirely self-funded. It was designed by Justin. It's a first iteration. The tools are right there. They're all open source. What does Philadelphia City need for funding? Web development, well, as I said, he's very bright and he's quite busy. So I get like little chunk. My background is information technology, but I'm very technical, but not that technical. Okay, so partnering with sustainability organization, persistent marketing, writers. I'll take the help I can get. Anyway, so what's next? Modify the homepage. So that's happening this month. And when we look at the site, I'll go into this a little more. There's databases, I think, which have a broad use and broad audience, possibly, which I want to put up. Engage the organization, raise fundings, build the audience, widen the social networking functionality of BuddyPress, the way it's installed. Mobile apps, a game. There's I work with 4 game developers. They're working on the game. Mobile apps. I don't want to be. There's one which I'm focusing on, and the second one will come later. Okay, so the site. Questions before we go to the site? Yeah. No.
Okay, we're going to help you.
Okay. So it's entirely open. That is, anybody can sign up. It's free. The idea is there's 3 functionalities. The idea is anybody can post. In other words, there's no. If it's inappropriate, I reserve the right to censor something totally inappropriate. I'm not big on censorship. So the idea is that you. I'm sorry.
Now I'm just looking at that. That was interesting. Secret Lives of Clothes. Reminds me of the Secret Lives of Bees.
Clothes. The secret. Yeah. The secret is it's a video.
It's very compelling.
Yeah. So anyway, so there are. So anybody can post, anybody can create an event, anybody can start a group, and can communicate across the members. The things. So yes, there is a Facebook page. Yes, I have posted on the Facebook page. I don't have much time to do that. So I could show the article page. Okay, so that's the articles. There's a slider for some of the articles, and there's basically 2 aspects. There is articles which are very local, which is the vast majority of them, and then there are a few which are which are more globally. So like what these kids and this organization of young teenagers do in California. So I have gone through a thinking process of, okay, what will bring value to the visitors? So there, yeah, you can look at the post. That's cool. You can possibly post something on the groups. You could. There is the event calendar. I think is fairly important because there's really there's no central place anywhere on the web for Philadelphia where you can find, if not all, but a lot of the sustainability events. You don't. I mean, this is actually, if anywhere, it's this one. So the other thing I thought of is I found there are a whole bunch of tools of web-based and smartphone-based tools which are related to sustainability, and they are not used that much. And so what I've done is, and this is just a start. There is a bunch more. What I've done is I've collected them. So the first one is a carbon calculator. So I'll show you the carbon calculator, and so it's coming. So it's a widget. So here it is. So you click here, and you go through a questionnaire, which basically estimates your carbon footprint. There is the same thing for water. There is an app which enables you to identify location for recycling, and on. I mean, and on and on and on. And then there is also one of the things that I found, which I thought was interesting, is buying less stuff, for instance, is that's really pretty cool because it's coming here. So this comes from a Chicago website, which has a strange name, also weird, but anyway. And what you can do here is create a library for lending tools. So instead of going buy my own drill, buy my own weed whacker or whatnot, your neighbor may have one, but you don't know that it's you. I mean, it can be your neighbor, it can be your friend. It doesn't have to be somebody right next door. It can be a colleague. It can be colleagues. It can be friends. But basically, a trusted network. So this tool enables you to create your own library and also share tools, but you also can share skills. So that I thought that was interesting. And another one is this one, which I thought was interesting. So Me Porter. Oh, okay, here we go. So this is a reporting app on a smartphone, and the reason I have it here is so that the idea is that if the people who attend a training on permaculture or go to visit the green roof that Pico has or whatnot, take a picture, and it basically it formats. It does the hard work for you. You can upload a video or a picture, and you can put a few words, and it will upload it to your social websites and to Me Porter. And actually, there is also a feed here. So if there is a tag about Philadelphia, a tag on sustainability, it will show up here. And I could go on, but that's most of it. Yeah.
All right, sir. So we got a good idea of what Jacques has been doing. Now we're going to open it up to the floor. Now, one thing I could say, if you haven't asked a question yet, I haven't been able to call on you, and you have a question, I'm going to call on you first, out of fairness. So is there anybody who has yet to ask a question that hasn't been called on? There you go. Okay. You're up.
How about, whether this is for-profit or non-profit, there's got to be some sort of business model or economic model here. How do you plan to generate revenue?
Good question. So initially, it would be advertising. But for advertising, 400 visits a month. I mean, there's Google Ads right now, but the income stream for it is like pennies, nothing. The one of the two mobile app, there would be an income stream from. One would be totally free, which is I don't want to describe it. I could, but it would take time, and that's not the point.
Is that going to be important, though, the revenue model here, the economic model?
I'm sorry, what is important? You mean if the revenue model is important?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I raised funding about 3 times before, so the main issue is that I do a lot. Of the content, and I need to focus on funding, and it's just too much. That's why I'm looking for help.
Do you envision charging users at some point, maybe?
No.
Okay.
No. I don't. Here. Not unless so. I could see and charging for something specific, like Suppose the U.S. government or the Congress, by a strike of luck, which I don't believe in, decides to pass a carbon tax, okay? Then there is actually a whole industry which shows up, which is emerging. Then I have thought of this a while back. That there could be an income stream from aggregating carbon credits, okay? But the likelihood that Congress passes a carbon tax right now, I think, is 0. Right now.
My recommendation is create the impression with your users and potential users that there is value to this by telling them this is a $99 a year service that will indefinitely be suspended or not charged, and the world is free to use it. But set the expectation early on. It's a maniacal way of saying free, but also creating value for you.
Yeah, it could be. There could be a subscription model, but then I would have to define carefully what would be what it would pay for versus what would be free. Right at this moment, I like your suggestion. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's get one of the questions that Jacques had asked in the. Focus questions. One of them is, how do I use social media to create synergy among people and organizations that have the same passion and interest for sustainability? So do we have any thoughts on that?
Are you on Twitter?
No, I haven't tweeted.
I would definitely recommend Twitter, especially with what you're doing. There's probably a lot of activity and a lot to be gained by that. And also, once you're on Twitter, this tool is actually good for all 3 that came up tonight. There's a website application called Paper.li, and it's what you do is it takes almost no effort whatsoever. You create a list, you come up with a list of people that you would normally follow in Twitter, and then you can either set it daily or weekly, and it builds a newspaper for you. So it's like all you have to do is get the list together, and boom, and that has actually generated a lot of traffic for me, because once the paper is released, and it's all automatic, then you can set it to send a tweet out that says you're featured in this day or this daily or this weekly newspaper.
Like top stories, and then people always retweet, that particular message.
Yep.
I
just wanted to give you one usability thing that I discovered when I tried to sign into the site, and that is the sign-in form for people creating a new account doesn't specify that the username must be all lowercase. So when you type in something that has uppercase and lowercase, and then you go and fill out the whole form, and you create a password, and you click on the CAPTCHAs, and you click submit, it rejects everything, and you go back to the beginning, and you have to start again with a new password and with a new CAPTCHA.
Thank you.
Which will chase people away.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's the two databases that you were discussing? The 2 databases that you...
Oh, yeah. One is jobs, green jobs. So, give you an example. If you are so Green Grow, which is the first urban farm in Philadelphia, they've been around for, I don't know, 15 years, something like this. They were looking for several jobs. They're an operations manager. If you had exactly skills, and you didn't know of Green Grow, that is, you didn't visit their website, or you were not on the Puffin email list. So the Puffin email list is a list, a mail server just for people who are interested in urban agriculture in Philadelphia. Or if you weren't getting the email from Paul Glover, which is Green Jobs, well, you're out of luck. Okay, so just the one of the, it goes back to what I noticed earlier, what I was saying earlier. To have access to what's going on in this group of people who are really passionate on sustainability, you have to be on the inside. And the way to be on the inside is to know which email list is it. And I was like, come on. Well, I mean, it's not like we have defense secrets that we're talking about. It's not that. So that's one of another thing. So the one is Green Jobs, and the other one is basically the organizations and profit, non-profit on sustainability in the region. Yes.
So is your idea to aggregate those resources, like Green Jobs Philly, and is that what you're trying to are you building partnerships with all of these people to
yes. So it's two things. Yes.
For what? Because I think that's the thing. When I'm looking at the website, it's interesting. It looks like there's some cool content in there, but I'm not getting the sense that you're drawing together all of these sources. That looks to me like a blog with some community aspects to it, but to really pump up the idea that you're creating it's not a lot of what we're trying to do with the nonprofit world. It's to create a community and tell the stories of people who are, because there's a lot of people doing some really interesting sustainability things in the city. So to really encourage people to take ownership of that and to run with it and see what they're doing. There's a million stories that Greensboro has about workshops that they do or stuff like that. And if your idea is to be a hub, then I think you should bang on that.
So the example you used, actually, I do post a workshop they do. Yes, but you have you're totally on there. The site as it is now is more for, I'll say, the young, pretty passionate people which are interested in sustainability. Which is, I want them. And you're right. Where I would like to go, where I want to go, is what you're describing. It's like doing both. I think it's in joining those worlds. The pros, tell me what, the Nature Conservancy or the Wissahickon Valley Association or whatnot, and the young guys who are down the corridor who are also interested in sustainability.
Yeah. I think Twitter might help you. I know that's worked on larger scales where people are saying "Hey, Greensboro, did you know that Recycle Bank is doing this thing? What? Start to create those conversations. I think that will really help your ultimate goal of bringing all.
Can I talk to you after?
I think we're going to. I wish I'd just make a suggestion. I don't know if you're doing this, but there are a lot of people that cover this in journalism or their blogs or whatever. And you could just have guest bloggers, they would then link to your site and, they would be tweeting out that they were the guest bloggers. And so it just seems like, you would have a lot of people who are already writing on this subject, covering it in their own way. And you could just sort of spotlight that. And then alternatively, the people that you want to partner with, you invite them to write a post about themselves rather than you writing it. And again, they bring their own followers into it. So it's just a way that, and also in terms of your own resources, you don't have to write it up. Someone else can write it up. So Wendy, go ahead.
Two quick thoughts. It seems like you have a lot of great content. So if you were to offer tip of the week and people give you their email and then just churn out one tip after another, and then that's also the content of your tweet, so you don't have to think about it, and then people pass on the tips and they come back to you, and you start building an email list. The other thing, just graphically, I noticed that icons for your members are an important part of the design on your homepage and elsewhere, and yet most of them are empty. It's not a very warm, inviting feeling to see all those empty things. I would change your design so you're not reliant on those icons.
Yeah, thank you. So this is a body press thing. Justin wanted to leave them empty to motivate people to put their pictures, and the truth is it's not working. So yeah, I've been planning to change this. Thank you. So thank you for the feedback. Mary, you had.
We could talk more about it later, but I was just going to suggest, if it's possible, you can list organizational partners or other blogs. I mean, that was one of the first things we did on our blog, was to list, we had a list of allies. So people can just click on our allies. And the other website, Chef Gas Outreach, we had 65 allies, and they're really excited to be listed, so then they might feel like, oh, we're on the front page of Eco City blog, and tell everybody, and it builds that synergy.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have, how much we have?
That's been about like 3.5 minutes.
Okay. So we want to take the last question, or we can just break it out into everybody. That's it? Okay. All right. So let's see. All the project presenters will be here for one-on-one conversation as well. Don't forget, we will be going out at around 9 o'clock for a little pub run and to toast the New Year for whoever wants to do that with us. So, but thank you very much for all of you.